There was, as tells us Titus Livius, a knight whose name was called Virginius, fulfilled of honor and of worthiness, who many friends and much wealth did possess. This knight had had a daughter by his wife, nor children more had he in all his life. Fair was this maid in excellent beauty, above all others that a man may see. For nature had, with sovereign diligence, molded her to so great an excellence. She seemed to say,
"Behold now my nature, thus can I form and paint a creature pure, when I desire. Who can it counterfeit? Pimagillion? Nay, though he forge and beat, or cover paint, I dare say again, Apelles, sexiest too, should work in vain, either to carve or paint, or forge or beat, if they presume my work to counterfeit. For he is creator principle, has made me of his vigor general, to form and color earthly creatures all, just as I like for their mind, great and small, under the moon, the which may wax and wane. In for work I ask no payment vain, my Lord and I accord in one soul accord. I made her in the worship of my Lord. So do I fair or foul creatures, what colors they have, or what figures."
It seems to me that nature thus would say, "This maid was 14 years of age, this May, in whom Dame Nature had so great delight, for just as she can paint a lily white, or red in rose, even such a stroke, she did this creature by her art evoke, ere she was born, painting her with sweet limbs free, in such true colors as they come to be. Amphibious dyed her hair long with such gold, as shaving this burning streamer's main fold. But if right excellent was her beauty, 1,000-fold more virtuous she was. And she was lacked not one condition known, that's praiseworthy when discretion shown.
as well in soul as body chaste was she, for which she flowered in virginity, with all humility and abstinence, and with all temperance, and with patience, and with modest bearing and array, discreet in her reply she was alway. Though she was rise as Pallas and not in vain, her speech was always womanly and plain. No highfalutin pretty words had she, to ape deep knowledge after her degree. She spoke, and all her words, greater and less, tended to virtue and to gentleness. Modest she was, with maiden bashfulness, constant of heart, and full of busyness. To keep her from all idle sluggardry, Bacchus had of her mouth no mastery. For wine and youth help Venus to increase, as when on fire is scattered oil or grease. This maid, upon a day, went into town, unto a temple with her mother dear, as the wont is of young maids everywhere. Now there was then a justice in that town, was governor of all the region known. And so befell this judge his two eyes cast upon this maid, nothing her beauty fast. As she went by the place wherein he stood, swiftly his heart was altered and his mood. He was so caught by beauty of the maid, and to his own dark secret heart he said, "She shall be mine, in spite of any man." Anon the fiend into his bosom ran, and taught him swiftly how, by treachery, the maiden to his purpose might win he. For truly not to bribery or force would it avail, he thought, to have recourse, since she had many friends and was so good, so strong in virtue that he never could by any subtle means her favor win, and make her give her body unto sin. Therefore, and with great scheming, up and down, he sent to find a fellow of the town, which man he knew was cunning and was bold. And unto this man, when the judge had told his secret, then he made himself right sure that it should come to ears of no creature. For if it did, the fellow'd lose his head. And when assent to this crime had been said, glad was the judge, and then he made great cheer, and gave the fellow precious gifts and dear. When plotted out was their conspiracy, from point to point, how all his lechery should have its will performing craftily, as you shall hear it now told openly. Home went the churl, whose name was Claudius, this false judge who was known as Appius. Such was his name, for this is no fable, but an historical event I tell. At least this gist is true beyond a doubt. This false judge goes now bustily about, to hasten his delight in all he may. And so befell soon after on a day, this false judge, as recounts the ancient story, as he was wont, sat in his auditory, and gave his judgment upon every case. Forthwith the wicked churl advanced the pace, and said, Your Honor, if it be your will, then give me justice prayed for on this bill of my complaint against Virginius, and if he claim the matter stands not thus, I will so prove by many a good witness that truth is what my bill does here express. The judge replied, On this, in his absence, I may not give definitive sentence. Let him be called, and I will gladly hear. To you, Judge Appius, may it so appear, that comes and says your servant Claudius, how that a knight by name Virginius, against the law, against all equity, holds expressly against the will of me, my servant, who is slave to me by right, who from my house was stolen on a night. While yet she was but young, this will I prove, my lord, by witness competent thereof. She's not his child, whatever he may say. Wherefore to you, my lord the judge, I pray, yield me my slave, if that be your will. Lo, this was all the substance of his bill. Virginius' eyes the churls began to hold, but hastily before his tale he'd told, ready to prove it, as befits a knight, and by the evidence of many a wight, that false was this charge of his adversary. The wicked judge he would no moment tarry, nor hear a word more from Virginius, but gave his judgment then and there as thus. I do decree in favor of the churl, no longer shall you hold this servant girl. Go bring her here, and leave her as my ward. This man shall have his slave as my award. And when this noble knight Virginius, by judgment of this Justice Appius, must now perforce his darling daughter give unto the judge in lechery to live, he did go home and sat down in his hall, and gave command his daughter there to call. And with a face dead white and ashen cold, her modest mind his eyes did then behold, with father's pity striking through his heart, though from his purpose he would not depart. And with that word both of her arms she laid about his neck, as she was wont to do. Then broke the bitter tears from her eyes too. She said, Daughter, said he, Virginia by your name, there are two ways for either death or shame. You now must suffer. Ah, that I was born! For you have not deserved to be this lorn, to die by means of sword or any knife. O my dear daughter, ender of my life, whom I have bred up with so deep pleasance, that you were never from my remembrance. O daughter, who are now my final woe, aye, and in my life my final joy also. O gem of chastity and brave patience, receive your death, for that is my sentence. For love and not for hate you must be dead. My pitying hand must strike your innocent head. Alas, that ever Appius saw you! Nay, thus has he falsely judged you of you today.
And told all her case, as you before have heard. There is no need to tell it more.
Oh, mercy, my dear father,
said this maid.
Oh, my good father, must I die? Is there no grace? Is there no remedy?
No, truly, darling daughter mine, said he.
Then give me leisure, father mine,
quoth she,
but to let my death a little space, for even Jephthah gave his daughter grace, to weep a little ere he slew a lass, and God knows that in naught did she trespass, save that she ran to be the first to see, and welcome him with greetings merrily.
With that word she fell into a swoon, and after when we faint was past and gone, she rose up and unto her and father said,
Praise to be God, that shall I die a maid. Give me death before I come to shame. Do with your child will, in God's name.
And then she prayed him, as he was expert, he'd strike her swiftly, lest the bout should hurt. Thereon again, a swooning down, she fell. Her father, with a heavy heart and will, struck off her head, and bore it by the hair straight to the judge, and did present it there while yet he sat on bench in auditory. And when the judge saw this, so says the story, he bade them take him out and swiftly hang.
But then 1,000 people rose and sprang to save the knight for ruth and for pity. For known was all this false equity. The people had suspected such a thing by the churl's manner and his challenging, that it was done to please this Appius. They know right well that he was lecherous. So they ran this Appius upon, and cast him into the prison cell anon, wherein he slew himself. And Claudius, this creature of Appius, was sentenced to be hanged upon a tree.
But then Virginius, of his great pity, so pleaded for him that he was exiled. For after all, the judge had been bejeweled. The rest were hanged, the greater and the less, who had been parties to his wickedness. Here may men see how sin has its desert. Beware, for no man knows whom God will hurt, nor how profoundly, no, nor in that what wise. The hidden worm of conscience terrifies the wicked soul, though secret its deeds be, and no one knows thereof but God and he. For be he ignorant or learned, yet he cannot know when fear will make him sweat. Therefore I console you, this counsel take. Forsake your sin, ere sin shall ye forsake.
Behold now, oh God! Behold now, I nature, thus can I form and paint a creature pure. When I desire,
He slew himself, and Claudius, who had been creature